Hello guys, this is Cyrus, formerly known as Nyakama Maslam. I am the coding instructor at Blue for SA. For this channel, Make Me a Coder. So today I'll be talking about HTML, which is an introduction to HTML and how to write HTML codes. I'll be introducing Visual Studio Code as well as Notepad. So HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. And also HTML is the language for structuring content on website on web pages. HTML is formed by elements and those elements are represented by tags. And we define element as everything from the start tag to the end tag. Now, let's dive in and look at the basic structure of HTML web page. So firstly, I want to introduce Notepad. So I'll just create a folder where I'll be storing my projects. That's the first step. Just write HTML projects, projects, and then I'll just write the first program. I'll just write hello world. It's my first program, hello world. Let me just write first program, first program. And then I want to create the first basic structure of a web page using Notepad. So I'll just right click and then select new and then click on the text document and then double click there. There is my Notepad. There is my Notepad. Let me just get rid of that. There is my Notepad. So let me just write the first HTML code. So the first thing that you need to do, so let me also introduce some comments. So this is how you comment on HTML. So this will not be rendered by the web browser. This is for developers or for code readers. So I'm gonna just write doc type declaration. So that is the first thing that you need to do. Doc doc type declaration, doc type declaration, doc type declaration, declaration, doc type declaration, HTML version 5. So that is a comment. So that's won't show on the web page. So this is just for you when you are reading your code, or this is just for other developers that will be assisting or that you will be collaborating with. So let me just write the first statement of HTML, or let me just say yes. It says doc type, doc type, HTML, HTML. So this is the doc type declaration. So this is just a declaration that the version of this HTML it's version 5. I'm just declaring. And then the second step, I'm just write the root element or the parent element. So this element, all the other elements will be inside it. So this is the parent element. All the other elements that I'm going to write will be nested inside the site or will be child elements for this element, which is, let me just also comment this. Let me just say parent element. So when we're talking about parent element, we are talking about HTML, which is a root element. Parent element or root element or root element, which is HTML. So let's write it's HTML, and then let me close HTML, HTML like that. So you notice I've opened and then I've closed. So when you're writing HTML code, you always make sure that you first started the tag and also ended the tag. So this is called the start tag. So it's between the curly braces, and this is called the end tag because it has that forward slash. So whenever you are opening, make sure that you are always closing. Then now, let's write now other elements inside this HTML element, which is the first one will be the head element. Head. So the head element now, it's the element that has the metadata, which has the information about the web page. So the first one, the first element, it's going to be a title element. Let me just say my first HTML page like this. So that is my title, or this is the title of my web page. So this is just the title. So also notice this I've opened as well as I've closed the tag. So this is title. Let's fix that. This is title. So this is title. This is the start tag. This is the end tag. Now let's go to the body. Now the body contains all the information that will be visible on the web page. So let me just also comment there. So let me comment there so that you can see that it has metadata. Let me just write a comment there. Metadata, metadata, information, information about the web page, about the web page, our web page. So that is what we are going to find on the head element, on the head element. Now let's move on. So that is metadata, metadata, that is metadata. So now let's move on to the body element. The body element. Let me open the body element. And then let me close the body element. The body element. The body element. Now notice how I've structured these elements. Look at this one. They start at the same space, in the same edge. Look at how they start. But look at this one, it's nested. So this is called indentation. So I want to show that, okay, this element is the child element of this element. And also, these elements, as you can see, the head element and the body elements are inside the HTML elements. So I want to indicate that these two, which is the head element and the body element, are child elements of the HTML elements. So this is called indentation. Then let me just also comment there and say, let me comment there and say visible, visible content on the web page. So now whatever that you are going to find on the body elements, whatever elements that are going to write on the body elements, those are the elements that will make the content to be visible on your web page. So now let's dive into the body elements. Now let me write the child element of the body element, which is the first one will be the heading, which is H1 in my case. Also, let me close H1 like this, and then let me write my first HTML program, or let me just my first HTML code like this. And now let me add another element, which is the paragraph element. Now let me just write hello world like that. And then let me close like this. And then now let me save my code. So now this one, it's a heading. This one, it's the paragraph. So let me just write it like this. hello world. So we are noticing I always open or I always start and also I always end the tag. So this is the start tag, this is the end tag. So this is the start tag, this is the end tag. So now when we're defining or when we're defining an element, we're saying element, it's everything from the start tag to the end tag. So now let's save web our basic web page. So let's save as. So we want to make sure that you click on save as type and then you click all and then let's just save it as index.html. So this is very important that .html is an extension for an HTML document. So let me just press save after. So I've saved. So now let me go and browse. Now this is created index.html. So let me click on that. So that is my first program, my first HTML code, which is hello world. So now this, now this part is displayed there, and this part is displayed there. So this is the heading. So this is how you structure your heading on your web page. So I've just instructed the web browser to display heading or in that place, and also I've structured the web browser to display a paragraph which is hello world. So let me just fix that. Hello world, 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 hello world, like this. Let me just press save there. Let me refresh my page. Yeah, it's hello world now. Yeah, like that. So if I can add another paragraph, I can just say like this. Control V, Control V. Let me just say this is fun. This is fun. Welcome to HTML. This is fun. So now let me just save there and also let me refresh there. This is fun. Welcome to HTML. So now let's look at this. So now this, where does this show? This, the title, my first HTML page, does not show anywhere here on the web page because it is the metadata, it's the information about the web page. It's supposed to show there on the address bar. It's supposed to show there on the address bar. It's supposed to show there on the address bar, not here on the web page. So that is why you're not seeing this anywhere. Now, to view an HTML code, what do you need? You need a web browser. So a web browser is the software or program, it's the program that is used to view an HTML code. Or it's a program that is used to render an HTML web page. So there are different types of programs. There is Chrome, there is Microsoft Edge, there is Firefox, there is Opera Mini. So, but now I'm using Microsoft Edge now to view this web page. Now, another thing, you can also, this is Notepad, this is a text editor that I used to write this basic HTML code. But you're not restricted to this text editor. You can use other forms of editors, such as code editor. For instance, this is Visual Studio Code. This one is a Visual Studio Code. Also used to write a HTML code. So now let me also demonstrate on how to use Visual Studio Code to write a basic HTML code. So let me just go there. Let me click there on let me look for the folder, my projects. Let me look for the folder, projects, HTML projects. Let me just write headings like this. Let me just write headings, headings. Then let me select the folder like that. And then let me use, let me just write the file index.html, then press enter. And then I can just doc type declaration. So that is the declaration statement, which is the doc type declaration. So again, when you're writing comment, you just write them like that. And then you say this is my doc type, doc type, doc type declaration, 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 doc type declaration, declaration, doc type declaration. Yes, like that. Just use it. And then of course, let me just write HTML element like this. Then let me just write head element like this, head element. And then inside, let me just write title element, title element. And then my title will just say headings, headings like that. Let me just say headings and paragraphs, and paragraphs, paragraphs in HTML, in HTML like that. Now, in the body now, in the body, let me just write like this, body element like that. Now, I want to demonstrate the headings. So when we talk about the headings in HTML, so headings, they just title our content. For instance, when you are writing a portfolio web page, obviously you can have a heading for the first heading can be like my portfolio webpage or portfolio webpage of Cyrus or portfolio webpage of Nyakama Mahla. And then you'll have other headings such as skills, such as about me or overview or summary, as well as contact. So headings are used for those. So let me just write the heading like this, H1. Let me just say my portfolio, my portfolio web page, like that. So now this one, H1 is the largest heading, and at the same time, it's the most important headings. So we have about 6 headings. So let me just say write 6 heading. So let me just write contact there. So we have 6 headings from H1 to H6. So H1 is the most important, and at the same time, it's the largest heading. H6, it's the least important heading, and at the same time, it's the smallest heading. So let me add there like this paragraph. You can also add H2 like this. Let me just write summary. Let me just remove that. Remove that. Let me just write summary. See summary like this. Then let me create a paragraph. So paragraph. So about paragraphs, paragraphs don't. So they always start on a new line. I'll just demonstrate right now. So let me just say I am Cyrus, a software engineer at South Africa, South Africa. I am also a qualified data scientist, data scientist, data scientist, data scientist, data scientist. I have also worked in many different roles in the industry, the industry, in the industry. So now I want to break this paragraph there because I want it to show to appear like this on the web page, to appear like that. But let's test it out. Is it going to do that? Now I have a live server. So to download live server, you have to go there on extensions and search live server, and click there on the live server, and then click on installing. But mine is already installed, so I don't need to install it because it's already installed. So just have to hit install live server, and then let me go there. Now you must save your changes that you've done, and at the same time you must go live so that you can see the web page that you've written. So this is the portfolio web page, my portfolio web page. I have the first heading, which is the biggest heading, which is H1 summary, and also I have a paragraph. But now let's examine this paragraph. Let's examine this paragraph. Okay, do this. Do this. Now look at this. This is this is H1, which is the largest paragraph, my portfolio web page. And then below I have the uh p- the second heading, which is summary, which is following the largest heading, which is H1. So now look at my paragraph. This is where I'm interested in the most. Look at how I've break this paragraph into two lines. I'm a Cyrus, a software engineer at South Africa. I'm also a qualified data scientist. I've also worked in many different roles in the industry. But now it does not have any effect when it comes to the web browser, because the web browser ignores all the white spaces when it comes to the paragraph. So we have the break element, for the break element to perform this task. If I wanted to, if I want this to appear in two lines, for instance, if I want to break this here such that this line appears below this line, so I must use the break element, which is like this, break element, break element. Look at it. Now it has gone to, it is break and go below this first line. So now I have two lines on my summary. I am Cyrus, I'm a software engineer in South Africa. I'm also a qualified data science. I've also worked in many different roles in the industry. Let's focus on, let me add another H2. H3, let me add H3, let me add H3, let me get rid of that. Let's add H3. Now, look at those headings. So let me just, I have H1, I have H2, I have H6. Look at H1, it's the largest. Look at H2, it's the second largest. Look at H6, which is the last level of heading in HTML. So the last level of HTML, which is H6, is the smallest heading and it's the least important. Now look at it, it's very small compared to other headings. So this is the same for other heading as well. So let me just add a paragraph there so that I can demonstrate this. So let me just write phone. That's then let me just write this one, 4581707 like this. Then let me add another paragraph which is email like this. Let me just write don't do shift at don't do at mail dot co dot co dot za dot co dot za like this. So look at the paragraphs. So this is the first one, which is the phone, and I have the second one, which is the email. So they both have margins, both the top and below. So I have the top margin as well as the bottom margin. So a paragraph always appear like that. So let me also add I want to add H3 because I have H. Yeah, let me add H3. So let me just say H3 like this. So let me just write skills like that. So H3 it's smaller than H2 and it's smaller than H1. So on H3, so I just write skills. So scores I usually return in the form of list. So I'll just create a list for creating skills. So for creating skills, I'll just create a list. So when you're talking about list, you have an ordered list as well as ordered list. So those are the common lists that I use. There is also another list which is not used mostly, which is the description. It's called the description list. That one. So let's just talk about the two for now, which is the ordered list and unordered list. So for unordered list, we use OL like this. So this is the ordered list. And then inside the for listing items, I'll just use LI like this. And just write the first skill, which is computer literacy, literacy, computer literacy. So the first skill there. So on the second skill, I have let's just say C++. C++ is a programming language. Or let me just write other skill, or let me just write a skill like this: computer programming, computer programming, programming, and then let me just write other skill, which is let me just write networking, computer networking, networking. Now I have these girls. Look at this. So look at how they're appearing on my web browser. I have those girls. One, two, three. So I have those girls like they are appearing like in terms of a logical order and they are numbered. So that is why this is called an ordered list because it has numbers. It's numbered already from first to from the in the logical order. So let me just add another list, which is an ordered list, just to demonstrate. Let me just write H4 like this. So H4 is going to be experience. So let's just write experience like this. Or let's just write tools, tools, tools. Let's just write tools like this. So let's just create an ordered list. Now we're using UL for an ordered list and LI for items. So the first item will be VS Code. So this is the first tool that I like to use, which is Visual Studio Code. So it's very flexible tool when it comes to developing, because you can just add extension and then will be coding in different programming languages. Let's add another one, which is Visual Studio, which is different from Visual Studio Code. This is Visual Studio. This one is an IDE, which is integrated development environment. It's the one that is used for writing programs, large projects. And also I have the other one, which is very used in data science, which is Anaconda. So let me just write Anaconda. Anaconda. So Anaconda is used for data science. There is PyCharm. There is plenty of stuff in Anaconda. As well as let's just use CorelDRAW for graphic design. Let me just write CorelDRAW for graphic design. CorelDRAW for graphic design. CorelDRAW for graphic design, like that. So now let's move on to let's just write H5 on H5. Look at the sizes of my headings. So this is just dropping, the size is dropping from the H1, H2, H3, H4, H5. Let's just write H5. Let's demonstrate writing H5. So for H5, I'll just use it's below there. Let's just write H5. So H5, I'll just write experience, work experience, work experience. So on work experience, I'll just create a table. So this is one good thing about HTML. You can also create tables. So let me demonstrate on how do we create these tables. So let me just create a table there. Let me just say, okay. So for table, we are using the table element, and then you use the table row, which is the first row of your table. And then on the first row of your table, you have table heads, which is the table heading. You have the table heading. So you have the first heading like this, the first heading. So let me just write, let's just say it's the company name, company. And then the second heading, the second table heading, it's let's just say position in the company. And then the third heading, let's just say it's it can be anything. Let's just think, let's trace the period that you've worked there. Just say period that you've worked there. Period that you've worked there. So let me just look at this quickly. So this is, let's go and demonstrate this. Mm. So there is my table. There I have okay, let's just say I have the work experience there, and then I have company position period, and then now let's look at this. So this is the first row. This is the first row of your table. So I have the first heading, which is combine, the second heading, which is position, the third heading, which is period. So as you can see here, like this. So I have company, position, period. Now I have to write now under these headings. So I have the second row, like this. And then I have to write now under the first one, which is the Kanban. So I can just write the table head. Let's just write Walter Sisulu University, Walter. I'll just write WUSU. And then position there. What was the position there? Let's just say facilitator, 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 facilitator. There's and then period, let's just say 1 year. 1 year. Okay, let's just say 2020. uh 2023 2023. So that is the period. Now let's go look at this. So this corresponds to this heading, which is company, and this corresponds to this heading, which is position, and this this corresponds to this heading, which is period. And then let's go there and look at this. There it is. So under company I have Vusu, under position I have facilitator, under period I have 2020 to 2023. So I can also add the other row. I can also add the other row. So let's add another row there, which is table row like this. And then, oh, sorry, look at this. Look at this. So this is different from that. So this is table date, not table head. This is table date, not table head. Table data, like this. Table data, because this is table data. This is not table head. These are the table head, but these are the table data. So it's different from the table head. But look at this. Yeah, look now, they are not bold now. They are appearing as faint. They are not bold now because these are table data, not the table head. But the table head, they appear to be bold. Now, let me also go there to, let me go there to the third row. Let's write on the third row. So on the third row, let's write the table data. So let's just write Nemesa. Nemesa. Let me just add the table data. Let me just say the combined name is, then the position, it's digital digital ambassador. And then let's write the period, table data. The period, let's just say 2024 to 2025. So that is the period. Now let's look at our table. There is our table. But now, on the second video, we'll be talking about styling. So we'll be talking about the inline styling. We'll be talking about how can we style this table such that it has those borders around it, such that it looks more appealing. And now let's look at the headings. So the headings, it's the first heading, which is this is H1, this is H2, this is H3, this is H4. This is H5. This is H6, the contact. So headings, from the first one, it's the largest heading to the smallest heading, which is H6, to the smallest heading, which is H6. And also they are arranged by the importance. The first heading, which is H1, is the most important, and H6 is the least important. Now, about paragraphs. So paragraphs, I ignore. They always, let me just go to the paragraph. If you remove that that break element, and then let's look at the results, it will appear like that. Even though you break this line into two lines, but then the web browser will ignore all the white spaces. So in order for you to make this to appear in both lines, you must just use the break element like that. So you can also use the HR element to separate these sections of yours. For instance, you can use HR the element. So let's see. So now I have a horizontal line there. And also, let me just use under summary, low summary. Let me use the line which is HR there, horizontal line there. See, it's separating my sections. Let me also add it there, HR. Let me add it there, HR. Let's see. Now it's separating my portfolio web page. And also let me add it there as well. Let me separate it there, HR there. Let me put my HR there as well. And also let me put, yeah, I think it's fine now. So now I've separated my section using the horizontal line element. I've separated using the horizontal line element. So let me just stop there for today. So on the next video, we'll be talking more about formatting elements, attributes, as well as other topics, as well as other fun topics of HTML. So this was fun. Enjoy, guys. Cheers.